for you. Balance sheet breaks down of those assets, all the different funds, not necessarily bank dollars, but fund dollars is on that balance sheet. So besides County Gen, if you have any questions on any of the other funds, that's where you could find that. My office does all of the tracking of rabies tax revenue, and I realized we never really, you see in your financials the dollar amount, but we never break it down for you what's dog, what's cats, especially since you started requiring cat. That form is in there. Any questions on any of the financials besides we need to celebrate? And not only do I want to, obviously, again, say PPRT, that helps some of the other tax, but I can say all of the department heads and elected officials are committed to being fiscally responsible and watching the bottom line on the expenditure dollars. So thank you very, very much for everybody for helping us recover from some dreaded years that we have been experiencing in County Gen. Any other questions before we move right along? I know I'm talking fast, but I got some stuff to cover for you. Next thing I want to talk about is the mental health levy. So there are certain funds that we have that we levy for, and that is the only mechanism of revenue that that fund receives. Mental health fund is one of them. In your financial or your board packet, this was included. It is a spreadsheet that shows to you the total tax extension of what we levy for, then what it looks like and what we actually collected in real estate, mobile home, back tax, interest earned, what that total collection was, what was distributed, and the difference. Just to give you a general idea, this last fiscal year, last levy year, $295,567.43 was not realized revenue from what was extended through tax extension and what was realized in revenue in the collection process. There is a variability every year, so please don't be concerned because the tax extension number and the tax distribution number is different. There are always reasons that there is variability, whether it be sale and error, certificate of error, PTAB decisions, all of that. What we faced last year, if you remember, we had a pretty significant court order certificate of error with Vistra. That took away a lot of assessed value, which meant that wasn't realized revenue dollars coming in. There were a couple of other significant PTAB and certificate of error decisions that had to be processed. What does that mean and why am I telling you this? Mental health loan the mental health fund did not have enough money to pay back the loans at the end of this fiscal year. $140,000 is quote unquote loaned by working cash every year, and $120,000 comes from County Gen as a loan. So at the end of the year, direction by the board, I'm to pay back those loans. It's in the budget. You approve it every year in the budget. At the end of November, there was $250,000. I can't end a fund with $10,000 in the hole. We don't want that. We don't want to be audited for that. I have no other mechanism to put money in that fund besides the loans that need to be paid back by the end of the year and the tax levy. I spoke with our auditors. The money was loaned back to County Gen, that $120,000. That $140,000 that needed to go back to working cash, I only was able to give it $130,000 because we needed money to end in that bank account. So currently, right now, we stand, mental health has a debt of $10,000 to working cash. This month, I need to loan the working cash money back to the mental health fund because the mental health fund has $311.39, and we're going to pay a bill of $37,609.75. We need money in that fund. It's in there in the budget, but I want to be as transparent as possible. I did not have the funds available to me in order to pay back that 140 and able to loan that 140. So we will have that as a matter of record until it is recovered and all of that money can go back into working cash. We can't rob Peter to pay Paul and never pay Paul back. So I had talked with Patrick and asked and made the recommendation that we increase the levy request for mental health, do an amendment for what you approved at last board meeting for what we are levying for. Because again, that's the only mechanism to get money into that fund. Mental health didn't overspend. Not enough realized revenue went in because of money that had to go out last year. We've already certified our levy with the clerk, so we cannot amend that money or amend that levy. So Patrick and the state's attorney are working on a way that we can get that money back into that fund. So there's not necessarily any action I'm asking you to take tonight because we can't amend the levy, but I wanted, again, to be transparent and let you know. It's all a timing issue.
Just a worst case scenario is that we levy for that much more the following year. That's the absolute worst case scenario, but we're pretty certain that we can come up with 15,000.
Or Senate Bill 508 in the recapture.
Yeah, we got to get all kinds of money there.
Yeah, that's the backup plan, but we'll talk about Senate Bill 508 later. So, does anyone have any questions? I started with a surplus of 1.4 million. I ended with a fund with a deficit of 10 grand. Can't win them all. Any questions? It's all thrilling information, I know. Numbers. Okay. All right. Hearing no questions or concerns, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. All right, moving on to health, Laura. Patrick's mine doesn't seem to be working or something.
All right, today I would like to start with the health department. You probably have heard COVID numbers are skyrocketing. I'm sure the holidays have something to do with that. 2 weeks ago, there were 183 new COVID cases in 1 week in Fulton County, and this past week there was 170 new cases of COVID in 1 week. That's right at a 9% positivity rate, which is really high. And we've had 88 deaths because of COVID in the county. So just a sober reminder. The health department is offering vaccination clinics for 5 and up. They usually have pediatric clinics available, and then the 12 and up clinics, they're usually separate. But they have all 3 vaccines. As your colleague, please consider getting vaccinated or boosted if you're not.
I know I can't interrupt you. So if someone has a 5-year-old, they can contact the health department to get that, not any other facility.
No, there's other places. I got my kids at Walgreens before the health department was offering it. There's lots of places you can go.
Just curious.
I'm just reporting on the health department, but I think Hy-Vee, Walmart,
Okay.
Walgreens, and health department in Canton, I think all offer it. And I think Graham's had some clinics as well.
Okay.
I'm sure there's other places in the county. Those are just the ones I'm familiar with.
Thanks.
So the Clayburgh, they are in the process of hiring a couple new people, so that's good. I think the salary increase is probably helping with that. We're currently at 42 residents, or at least we were at the beginning of the month. In your packets, I believe, is a contract for our administrator. If you recall, she was hired in not quite 2 years ago in January, so that contract was about 23-month contract. This one is a 24-month contract. It would be effective as of December 1st because the other one ended November 30th. I just was thinking I had till January. Apologize for that. We put a 2-year contract in place. We increased her salary from $85,000 to $87,500, so it's about a 3% increase. We thought the health committee thought she was deserving of that, and she has been working a whole lot, and that's still low pay for that position at a lot of places. So we thought that was we thought it was deserved. We did not put an increase in for the second year of the contract, which we didn't do in last contract either. We just addressed that in the second year if we thought she should get an increase and brought it to the board. The dates were all updated, and in the first 2-year contract, we gave her 2 weeks or 10 days of vacation time a year. If she doesn't use that, she loses it. We increased that to 3 weeks or 15 days for this next contract year, which is still, again, with her years of experience and stuff, I think that's very reasonable. Those are the only changes that were made in the contract, unless Justin's gonna tell me I'm forgetting something. I think that was it. Dates,
The money and time frame on my recollection of the
Yep.
vacation.
yeah. Otherwise, it's the same contract we approved 2 years ago. Questions?
Okay, Laura, you wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to sign the contract for for Tammy Denning as the Clayburgh administrator.
I'll second it.
Second by
Whoever.
Duquesne. Now we can do discussion.
There you go.
Uh,
Can I ask a question?
sure, Donna, go ahead.
Laura, I realize that things are not good in the hiring categories, and it's only going to get worse down there. Is there anything we can do to help her out and get staffing? It's going to get worse. You've got 3, I think, down there that are close to retirement, and they're working their butts off. She needs help.
Yeah, at the last meeting,
Yeah, we did a $2 an hour raise for all employees there.
Yeah, at the last
Awesome.
meeting, we approved the $2 an hour increase for all employees. And that was the union contract that was going to give them this raise. This was in place of that because it was more than what they would have received. So that I think has helped. And that's why we have a couple new potential applicants. They have some of the funding they received for COVID related expenses had to go towards employee hazard pay and stuff. So they've been providing some bonuses to the employees based on the money they've received and how it had to be spent. So you're right. I mean, they are working their butts off, but I don't know how much. It's not something none of us can assist in that, doing that. I'm not sure what else, unless you have ideas, Donna.
I have no ideas, but I know they're desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying everything we can. Okay, any other questions? Okay, call the roll.
Thank you.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Abstain.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Metis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Is it, Laura? Is it anything else, Laura? Okay. Highway, Nestor.
You get bowls on YouTube.
Well, Keith's got the salt coming in for our winter days, snow days.
It'll be 70 degrees tomorrow. We're gonna need some.
Don't need no salt. I think we'll haul some in anyhow. He's worked out a schedule, got the schedule down for the snow removal. They've been grading shoulders throughout the county, and tonight I got a good compliment from another member who lives down in South Fulton, and had some good compliments on the work that the boys been doing on the shoulders and what have you on the roads out there. Take this time to thank Keith and the tremendous crew that we have working for us here coming up in these winter days. They're going to be pretty busy probably when we start getting snow and ice, and give them a thank you or a wave at them, and let them know that they're doing a good job. We can take all the compliments we can get. That's about all I have.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? All right, thank you. Public safety is in campground, Mary, oh, she's over there.
Thank you, sir. My eyeballs on. Okay, we have a discussion action and resolution of the lane name change to standard lane. Could I have a motion?
You gonna make the motion?
I'll make the motion, I'm sorry.
Okay. Arnett, second?
Discussion, could I ask Chris if he could explain it to everybody?
Sure.
Thanks, Chris.
Fat guy running.
Thank you, sir.
I've prepared about a 3-hour presentation, so we should be able to breeze through this. There is a test at the end, so keep that in
You got
mind.
one
You
minute.
got slides?
I have slides, and then we'll do like shadow animals. It'll be great. Really, really brief. This is a private lane. The first question you are asked when you call 911 is, where is your emergency? Everybody watches it on TV. It says, what's your emergency? And I get real mad and throw things at the TV. But the reality is finding someone at their lowest point in life is job number one. That's what we want to do. We have problems all over the county of long private lanes, multiple addresses on that lane off of the state road, county road, or township road. This clarifies all of that. It documents that it's not a county road, not a township road, not a state road, none of our maintaining, none of our problems. This just names that lane and documents every single step along the way. We can then address off that lane, even odd, follow the number sequence. It finds someone faster in an emergency. That's it. Questions, concerns?
So this is just to help 911 find them.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Thank you, sir.
That was high.
Any questions? All right, call roll.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Berry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Metis,
Yes.
and Platt.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Done.
Anybody got any
Thanks,
other
everyone.
questions for Mary? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, property and courts, Cindy?
We really didn't cover anything except for the upcoming schedule for 2022. Everybody's in agreement on that. That's really it.
Okay, anybody got any questions for Cindy? All right, thank you. P&L, Lisa. Damn, how many pretty much that for that?
Yeah. Oh. All right, first item up on the P&L agenda is discussion action, IPMG review of policy manual. Again, IPMG is the administrator for our risk management or liability insurance. As we discussed last month, the nepotism policy will be deleted and we will reference the new nepotism ordinance. And the group health insurance policy will be deleted. That's why your board packets are kind of heavy today. So with that said, I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the personnel manual, including the revisions just mentioned.
Motion by Lisa, second by Beth. Any discussion?
I have discussion.
Whip it on us.
All right. Okay, I want to address the goals of this manual because I believe there are a lot of misconceptions about it. It's intended to be guidance for the administration of county employees. Employees are our greatest asset. And this manual allows them to understand their rights and their responsibilities. It's intended to help prevent discrimination, provide documented guidance for consistency in our answers, and provide adherence to the law. That is why a legal advisor for our risk management insurance reviewed these policies and made suggested changes that are in your board packet. Of great importance is to note that we have numerous contract bargaining agreements, or CBAs for short, that govern the vast majority of our employees. Of course, if the employee is a union member, their CBA should be consulted first in answering their needs. If the subject is not addressed in the CBA, then the policy manual is the next resource. There are many topics within the manual that are not covered by CBAs. And for instance of that is a motor vehicle records check. I'm sure that the sheriff does not hand over keys to a squad car without investigating a new employee's driving record. What does the rest of the county do? Policy states that awarding county employees driving privileges requires us to check the employee's driving record and sets forth the guidelines to maintain these privileges. Also, what if the employee is not a union employee? They don't have a contract bargaining agreement. Although they are fewer in number, they also deserve to understand their rights and remedies. For instance, if they have a grievance with the employer, the union contract will not afford them the luxury of their grievance of the CBA's grievance procedure. The manual sets forth a procedure that they can use. Next, we should all understand that elected office holders have the right to run their offices as they see fit. These policies are intended to be guidelines for what the county board has agreed to abide by with respect to the terms of employment. Sorry, I have a lot to say about this. The best case scenario would be if all the elected office holders would collaborate with the board. So if they have different practices for their offices, we can get them documented. Revisions or exceptions can be made within the policy to accommodate their requests. That would require us to all work together. Worst case scenario would be that they publish their own employment policies. To some degree, this has already been done with respect to job duties. Those are clearly the office holder's responsibility to define. For instance, the sheriff has a policy describing the job duties of his employees. And as you can well imagine, it is hundreds of pages long. It is also reviewed by our risk management insurance. The health department has a policy as set by the Board of Health. And the Clayburgh has a policy as set by their administration. Policy is an ongoing process. Laws change. And only time and use of these policies will tell us if they work or they need revised. We had to start somewhere because when I started, there was nothing. The overall goal is to provide documented guidance so that we have a uniform and transparent system of personnel administration. It reduces our risk from a liability standpoint and creates consistency in our employment practices. Finally, county liability for fiscal year 2022 is scheduled to cost the taxpayers $1,019,000. We have a reason to do this. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Roll.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner.
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Clark.
Yeah.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Hudson.
Okay. I'm gonna abstain.
Kessel.
Yes.
Coomer.
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Metis.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
And Spangler.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, sorry. Next, discussion action item is Public Act 102-0668. This act was just passed and it changes precinct sizes from 500 to 1,200 voters per precinct. In theory, this would cut the number of precincts at least in half. We currently have 57 of them, right? But some of the stipulations within the act on how to accomplish this change has made it nearly impossible to achieve. Therefore, I will make a motion to revise the precincts according to the act during the 2023 election cycle, as it is not practicable, according to our election authority, to complete these changes at this time.
Okay. Motion by Cox, second by Mattson. Any discussion?
County clerk, have anything to add?
No, I mean, this was our recommendation to the Personnel and Legislative Committee. When talks of this trailer bill came about, through our association, I was a pretty big advocate of it. But I was an advocate on the premise that some of the other things would be relaxed as well. Right now, underneath this, we had 60 days to get it done. To me, that's not a lot of time. We need public input. There's potential to be changing some polling places here. We need to hear from the public. Secondly, we have 26 townships. The current law states that each township must have a precinct. So part of our consolidation was we have 57 precincts and 33 polling places, right? So it would be, these polling places are geographically close and contiguous. So, the low-hanging fruit is to just combine some of these polling places into precincts. Curtin Woodland would be one that just flies off the top of my head. Well, Curtin and Woodland are both townships. They have to have a precinct. We can't split that. When you look at other scenarios like Buckhart 1, 2, and 3, some of the Buckhart 1 is St. David, I believe. And then you have Dunfermline and Bryant, that constitutes Buckhart 1, 2, and 3. Underneath, the township needs a precinct. You also have to stay within a congressional district, a legislative district, a county board district, and a municipal ward. Some of Buckhart touches into wards in Canton, so you can't split that one. So are there some things that can be combined? We had one potential, and that would be to combine Astoria 1 and 2. If that's all we're going to do, let's take time. Let's do it in an off election year. 2023 is a very soft consolidated election. There's no mayors, there's no road commissioners, there's no township supervisors, there's trustees and some village trustees. The other option would be to do it in June of 2022. Problem is, June of 2022 is when our primary is. You'll have people filing for precinct committee person in March of 2022. We go and change the precincts. Well, you don't live in that precinct no more. So the best way to get public participation and public feedback, which Chairperson Thompson agreed with me on, my staff agreed with, we came to that agreement, is to take the time, do it in June, July of 2023, and do it right. Probably more you wanted to hear. Thing I'll charge for my speeches.
Okay, now I need the
Okay.
microphone back. Sorry, I'm not done. Because I still have committee report.
Yeah, vote.
Well, we gotta vote on
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's right, sorry.
I thought you meant, you gonna talk more about that?
Oh, yeah, no, I apologize. Folks.
Okay, anybody else got anything? Call roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yeah.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Metis,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
and Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, on to committee report. I want to update you from last month. We approved an appointment to London Mills Fire District pending some paperwork correction that was received the day after the board meeting has been completed. Okay, so we are, P&L committee is investigating methods of recording time worked to be utilized countywide. And although the project is in its infancy, I just wanted to update the board about what is going on. Our goal here is to meet the Fair Labor Standards Act of documenting time worked. There are many challenges that are going to have to be overcome to implement this. One that comes to mind is some of the workforce is time is turned in on Monday for what they plan to work for the rest of the week. So on Friday, they collect their check, and the deviations from planned work versus actual work has to be corrected on their next check. So onto the system we're investigating. This system would allow us to audit the previous week for corrections that have to happen because of that. It would streamline our payroll for 230 employees and centrally track vacation and sick time. Currently, vacation and sick time is tracked within the departments. Central tracking would be beneficial to employees because their pay stubs could reflect their actual entitlement. It would benefit the county during the audit process. It would allow for reports at budgeting. It would benefit the taxpayers because there's accountability for time worked and employee paid time off. Long-term benefit, it would benefit the payroll department, namely the treasurer's department. Short-term, it will be a large undertaking for the treasurer's office. And again, I want to thank her for her participation in gathering this information and working with us on trying to determine if it's the right thing for the county to do. If we can manage to accomplish this, this will free up some of the time different departments spend on payroll and allow them more time to provide other public services. We are hoping for a demonstration in the near future from the contractor to the committee. All right, so that brings me to the last item on our report. In order to print vacation and sick time on pay stub, payroll has to be set up with parameters of what employees are entitled to, like the CBA, the policy, their department requirements, or even by contract. There are gaps in the documentation on non-union benefits. So we have started the process of defining those benefits. What I envision as the best process for doing this is to start by the committee defining a policy. We can share that with the office holders. If they desire different schedules for vacation and sick time for their non-union employees, they can provide us a schedule and we can insert it into the policy. Other counties do exactly that. They just have a spreadsheet for the different departments. This is what everybody gets. Hopefully we can come to agreement about the general procedures within the policy. If not, we will need their office policy on these benefits in order to set up this new payroll system. I just want to mention that inconsistent treatment of employees leads to disgruntled employees, which can lead to liability. That's it. Sorry I yacked so much tonight.
Okay, any questions for Lisa? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That was a lot of work.
All right, finance and insurance, John.
Okay,
You good?
I'm fine. The first item we have is the proposal from Spoon River Partnership for Economic Development to use Arpa money for business loan grants. I will move, we do this. Is there a second?
Second with that.
Kessel.
Oh, you beat me. Okay.
All right, Cole McDaniel is with us from Spread and has put a lot of time and work into this. It's in your board packet, his proposal. You want to come up, Cole, and talk a little bit about it?
Evening, everybody. Just to talk a little bit about it, and you want me to grab that?
Up to you.
Is it for everybody on the?
Yeah, they can hear you.
They can hear me. You just hang on to that. I'm loud. So in your packet, you'll see the proposal that was presented to the Finance Committee, and to keep this as, I guess, brief as possible, or the overview, the priority through this process, number one, has been a focus of doing what's in the best interest of the business owners, the county, and the partnership all at the same time, right? The way to use these funds to put a stimulus back into our small business economy, help those businesses and organizations that have come forward and need help and maybe haven't been able to get that yet. This is a little bit of a, I mean, I think this is economic development in general, but a little bit of a cart before the horse situation in that essentially what I'm needing is some direction from the board on if they're comfortable with this proposal with the allocation amounts. I think in discussing with Pat and Treasurer Mayall, the first and foremost, we have to approve the up to the allocation amount. And then the step from there would really be to get into the finer details with Bellwether. We know from their response that this program is eligible. It is an eligible expense. There's considerations, right? Some of those things they laid out as considerations, and I don't know, has everybody seen the response from Bellwether? If not, it's not too extensive, but discussing reporting, when the funds need to be expended by, some of those details. I don't see a problem with that, but we need some answers on what exactly is that reporting? What do we need to collect for each business? What do we need to collect to report and cut those checks and make sure we have the proper documentation to make sure we're in compliance and nothing comes back that the county's going to have to pay money because something was mishandled. The one thing I can say is these would all be strictly grants. The loan process I could see getting very complicated with the use of ARPA funds as far as loaning them out, getting them paid back in, the reporting that goes along with that. So these would all be grant focused. We have a pretty good start of list of businesses that have applied for grant funding, not received them. Still some pending for this back to business grant that's out there. Informed by DCEO last week that it would be, I hesitate to even say this, but quote unquote, the next several months until the rest of these grants were decided on. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to flip through the pages, but there's about 40 pages currently of grant awards, and there's a lot of pages that start with a county with the letter C in it, which would be Cook County. So hopefully we start to see some of that move downstate, but in the grand scheme of things, I think the important thing is focusing on what we can do from a county level, because we're not sure what's going to happen with some of this other grant funding. And there's still a lot of businesses out there that need it. So I think it's a little confusing. I'm presenting a proposal to you to try and present a program that we could administer. I think the most important thing is identifying what the county is comfortable with allocation wise, and Treasurer Mayall, if you want to speak to that too, we can. and then really being able to sit down with myself and Stacy and Patrick and dive into the finer details, get some answers from Bellwether that we need, get some answers on reporting requirements, and then come back with a finalized, here's the application, here's the required documents checklist, here's how the process is going to work. And at that time, you would then vote to expend those funds.
So basically, it's gonna take a lot of work to put this all together, and they wanna make sure that the board's on board with it before they move ahead with all that extra work.
Yeah, basically, I'm gonna spend 100 hours between now and probably your first meeting in January if the allocation is approved, and really get some of this stuff ironed out. I can't guarantee it'll be done by January, but the goal is as quickly as possible, pull that together, make sure we have all of our ducks in a row, and make sure that we're not gonna have any issues with compliance. Because first and foremost, that's my priority from the partnership side and protecting our organization and for protecting the county side of things, and making sure we're doing what's in the best interest of the county. So that's the next step, I believe. So Treasurer May, all that you want to add?
I just wanted to reiterate, we're not asking you to expend any money tonight. The only thing we're asking you is to allocate up to a certain amount. From that point, the three of us will get together and we'll get that granular detail on what this looks like in terms of not just eligibility, because we've checked that box, but the functionality is that next component. But we don't want to give full marching orders if your temperature for this is you don't want to move forward. So tonight, it's just in terms of allocation of some funding.
May I add as well, last week, just as a point of order, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the motion and second be rescinded and do a motion and a second on what the Finance Committee agreed upon last week as the allocation.
Okay.
Up to $750,000. So that dollar amount's out there and the board knows what, just as a point of order.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get that in the minutes and on the record.
Okay.
So if you'd
I'll rescind my motion.
Stanger will rescind that, and Kessel will rescind her second. Now, a motion to
So I'll make a new motion.
allocate the 750.
Yes, we go and allocate up to the $750,000.
And I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank you. I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
okay.
And then to reiterate what my colleague, the treasurer, and the finance chairman said, you're not agreeing to spend $750,000. You're agreeing to allocate $750,000 from your $3.2 million pot of ARPA funds.
Yeah, this is all ARPA money. This is not general account money.
You're going to allocate that, and then a proposal is going to be brought back to you as early as January, as late as February, which will include a plan to expend that money, and that's when you'll be voting to make that expenditure to participate in the program as presented by this loan committee. And I'm sure that recommendation will come through the finance committee.
Anybody got any questions? Danny?
I just wanted to ask Cole a question. And I realize you got to put the proposal and everything together. Is this going to be like a lottery type drawing, or is it going to be based on populations of the county?
Well, this is
to distribute these funds.
So this is the part of it that kind of comes with some of the more granular detail, right? Figuring that piece out. What are the metrics to determine what the award amount is, right? I can name some people that had $900,000 in decreases in revenue, and some people that had $9,000 in decreases, but it's a dramatic difference depending on what they normally do, right? So that'll be some of the dynamics that get figured out and get brought as part of the final proposal. As far as being able to disperse it to specific areas, I wouldn't, I would be happy to take a recommendation from the board, but I think that'll be difficult. It won't be a lottery. It'll be a scoring system.
Right.
It'll be based off those that haven't received other funding
It just seems
or
like
have
in
received
years
less.
past, we've had some sort of revolving fund where we distributed loans or grants out. It always started with the populated areas and worked down to the smaller areas. And some of your small businesses that are really struggling bad are in your lower populated areas than they are the bigger areas.
And that'll be the metric, right? It'll be
Right.
based off the business and their decrease in revenues compared to the prior year, prior 2 years, where they're at 2021 compared to 2020. That we can see tangible losses, because number one, that's the most important piece, right? If somebody grew in business from 2020 to 2021 or 2019 to 2020, they're not going to get a grant.
Right.
It's based off that decrease in revenues. So it will be business specific based off solely numbers, not location.
Right.
And that's the idea. It's help the neediest of the neediest businesses. Whether they're on the far west side of Fulton County or the far east side of Fulton County, north, south, it doesn't matter. It's identifying those businesses that need the most help, because, one business that closing in Fulton County is like 100 closing in Peoria County, right? So we need to make sure that we're identifying those, and that's going to be some of the process. And that's why I think the allocation amount and asking for that is the first step, because there's going to be a lot that I'm going to need to identify. We're going to have to not reinvent the wheel, but this is a creative use of ARPA funds that a lot of counties, cities, communities aren't doing. A lot of it's getting allocated to water sewer projects, and that's great in itself, but I think this is a really valuable use of it. But figuring out those dynamics is going to be, kind of the next step. And I'm hoping to dive into that and really be able to give a solid reasoning for how these are getting distributed.
One other thing to add too is if you're wanting input on the metrics and how it's going to be determined, if you do vote to move forward with this allocation, get a hold of Cole, because when we come back to you with the plan, I'm not saying you can't make modifications that evening, but we're going to come back to you with a pretty buttoned up scenario. And it's going to be the partnership that's taking care of screening those applications, scoring said applications, and the determination of those recipients type of thing. So it's not where the board is going to be reviewing, scoring, doing all that. We are partnering with the partnership, for lack of a better term, to do that work. So please provide input, questions, anything. Let Cole know so that he can address those concerns, questions, ideas when we're formulating everything together.
And in all reality, I need that, right? I need that from the board side. And I'm very objective about it. This is a program that I want to see it work for the business owners. I want to make sure it's, again, in the best interest of the county, and we're being a good custodian of those funds. But another piece of that too is the county board should have some influence on how the metrics are determined. Now, we don't have to rewrite the whole playbook on how they're scored or anything, but if there's some very specific things that are important to the board, those be things that I can include. Like I said, there's nothing keeping me from adding or removing whatever the board would like to see. I'm willing to mold that whatever makes the most sense for us as a county. So.
And it's a fantastic use of the ARPA funds to pump it back into our businesses in our county.
Okay, anybody else? Carl?
Yes, sir.
Your dollar amount, $750,000, you don't use all of that, or what? How do you determine how much I guess you want to use?
So I can tell you there'll be no problem using it. No problem extending it even, right, even to the I would say, no, you're not gonna get to the point that based off of, so I'm just using metrics based off the back to business grant, right? Which several people have applied for, and we're still waiting on some decisions. There's some of those grants that are $150,000, and that's based off 1/6 of the decrease in revenues. So you're talking about somebody that had a $900,000 loss, or at least decrease in revenues, right? So that was one of the grants. There's several other ones that are, they only had a $2,000 or $3,000 difference in revenue, but maybe they only do $10,000 a year, right? That makes a pretty good percentage of their business. So there were several $5,000 grants. So in calculating out just from the back to business grant, everybody that was eligible, and if there was enough money there, would receive awards, it's just north of $2 million. And that's out of 100 applicants. Now, a lot of those 100 applicants that applied, there's some that have received other assistance, and that's maybe why they're not receiving assistance from this, but half or more of those haven't received assistance except for maybe payroll protection program, right? So you can't eliminate anybody that's received any assistance, because some people were a sole proprietor, applied for PPP and got $800, right? And that was 8-10 months ago now. So that's the only assistance they've maybe received. But it really takes some the review will be the biggest part of it, right? Because it's gonna be a lot of documents, making sure we have everything intact for the county. That's gonna be tax returns, copies of driver's license, everything that was required from the other program. But, to get back to the question, I think the 750,000, I think it's a start in the right direction, and it's something that's gonna be fueling the neediest of the neediest businesses. Now, through this process, if we get 100 applications and we're able to fund 60 of them, and we're still having issues with where we can allocate these ARPA funds, maybe we can talk about having a second round, but, at that point, trying to get this first thing off the ground and see how it goes would be the goal, but, I don't think we can get to the funding amount that's quote unquote needed to kind of justify some of those other programs.
Okay, Chief? Carl?
Yes.
Is that what you want? Okay. Anybody else? All right, call roll.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Abstain.
Kessel. Is that a yes? Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Metis,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
and Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay,
Thanks, Cole.
thanks, Cole.
Thank you, everybody. I'll get to work. And one last thing, real quick, is I'll be sending out an annual report Friday. So it's a nice cover page here. It's about 20 pages long, but it should cover everything that's pretty much happened in the last 18 months. I think it'll be really valuable for everybody to take a look at. Some good metrics, total investments, job creation, those kind of things that everybody wants to see. Some nice charts and graphs and colorful pictures. So I'll get that out to everybody. I'll send it as a link probably to Patrick and some others, and ask that be sent out to the full board and employees of the county. So, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Cole. All right, next thing we have is an intergovernmental agreement between Fulton County and Farmington Township for assessment services. I'll move we go ahead with the intergovernmental agreement.
Okay,
Second.
second by Beck.
This is just for contract Julie has with them
You wanna
for
read it all?
assessment services.
If you want me to, I will. It's only 4 pages.
Yeah, I know.
We don't need to read it.
You don't need to
Does anybody want to hear it? Or you want to just read it in your packet?
Yeah. let me read it.
Okay. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Metis,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Wilner.
Yes.
Go with the, was that a yes,
Yeah.
Heidi?
That was a yes.
Yes, that was a yes.
Thank you. Motion carried, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Next.
All right, next thing we have is an ordinance abating the tax
I got it.
levied for the year 2021, to pay the debt service on the general obligation bonds for the Claver.
Okay, a motion.
I do.
I'll second.
Second by Duquesne. Any just, or go ahead and read it.
Whereas the County Board of the County of Fulton, Illinois, by an ordinance of the County Board adopted on the 15th day of November 2016, did provide for the issue of $1 million general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, Series 2016, and the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds. And whereas a duly certified copy of the bond ordinance was filed in the office of the county clerk of the County of Fulton, Illinois, and whereas the bonds were issued by the county pursuant to the terms of the bond ordinance, and Whereas the county board hereby determines that the pledged revenues will provide for the payment of principal of and interest on the bonds due in the next bond year, so as to enable the abatement of the pledged taxes levied for the same. And whereas it is necessary and in the best interest of the county that the tax heretofore levied for the year 2021 to pay the bonds be abated. Now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved by the county board of the county of Fulton as follows. Section 1, abatement of tax. The tax heretofore levied for the year 2021 in the ordinance is hereby abated in its entirety. Section 2, filing of the ordinance. Forthwith, upon the adoption of this ordinance, the county clerk shall file a certified copy hereof in the records of the county, and it shall be the duty of the county clerk to abate said tax levied for the year 2021 in accordance with the provisions hereof. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Okay. Any questions? Call the roll.
Okay. Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen.
Yes.
BJ's still not back yet. Metis,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
and Arnett.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next.
All right, next thing we have is stormwater infrastructure system for Bryant, using ARPA funds to pay for that project. And we have some updated figures on that. And so I will move, we use ARPA funds to update, for this Bryant sewer project up to $300,000.
Second by Kessel.
I better read this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Clerk will read the.
Whereas the American Rescue Plan Act provides for the state and local fiscal recovery funds, a definition which includes Fulton County, Illinois, and whereas Federal Register Volume 86, number 93, Monday, May 17, 2021, rules and regulations provides instruction on use of ARPA funds, specifically Section D, investments in infrastructure, to assist in meeting the critical need for investments and improvements to existing infrastructure in water, sewer, and broadband. The fiscal recovery funds provide funds to state, local, and tribal governments to make necessary investments in these sectors. The interim final rule outlines eligible uses within each category, allowing for a broad range of necessary investments in projects that improve access to clean drinking water, improve wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure systems, and provide access to high-quality broadband service. And whereas Federal Register Volume 86, number 93, Monday, May 17, 2021, Rules and Regulations, Frequently Asked Questions 6.1, the interim final rule generally aligns eligible uses of the funds with the wide range of types or categories of projects that would be eligible to receive assistance through the Environmental Protection Agency's Clean Water State Revolving Fund, CWSRF, or Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF. And whereas Environmental Protection Agency's Clean Water State Revolving Fund allows stormwater assistance to any public, private, or nonprofit entity for measures to manage, reduce, treat, or recapture stormwater or subsurface drainage water. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fulton County Board the following. Contingent on suitable engineering and project plans, the Fulton County Board approves the use of $300,000 in American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds for the purpose of addressing stormwater removal. 2, the Fulton County State's Attorney shall present an intergovernmental agreement between Fulton County and the Village of Bryant for the purposes defining the accountabilities of each party toward proper use and quarterly reporting project progress and use of the American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Annie?
I just want to know, on these funds that we're gonna authorize for Bryant, will we have a copy of the engineering of how those infrastructure project diagrams are gonna be, or will we have some sort of acknowledgement of what they do or don't do with what they put in?
I would tend to say no.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah, absolutely. Part of that $300,000, Mr. Coomer, is the engineering study, plan, plus the construction management supervision. Everything's included in that $300,000.
Right. So originally, I understand we were supposed to only give them 30,000, and the bid came in higher. Then we're up to 105,000. Now we're up to 300,000, which includes study, if I just heard that correctly.
Well,
I don't ever
originally
recall 100,000.
Yeah.
What happened was when we received a $500,000 grant
Right.
from DCEO to replace our jail doors. Senator Kaler asked that we allocate $25,000 to the Village of Bryant to fix their stormwater issue. When I say issue, I think I'm being very
Minimal.
Yes, it's more than an issue. But anyway, so Bob White at the time was the village president. Mr. Jokums and the finance committee all passed that. Mr. Jokums created the intergovernmental agreement. Village President White came up and said, guys, I've got an engineering study done, and I had a lawyer look at the intergovernmental agreement. He gives somewhere around $4,000. He said the total cost of this project is going to be $209,000. So Mr. White said, if you guys will take care of these two bills for $4,000, we'll just call it even. I think what these people go through is absolutely inhumane and just terrible.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if we have the opportunity, we being you guys have the opportunity to help. If it rains a certain amount, they can't flush their toilets, take a shower, or do their laundry. If we have the opportunity to help, I think it would be a great project for this board.
But the increase in cost is
The increase
from then till now.
There was the finance committee's been very conservative through this. I gave them the quote from Mauer Stutz from October 2020. These guys said, yeah, why don't you run, they understood the inflation. They said, why don't you go and get us a number that's more suitable for today's times? Got with Mauer Stutz, the new number's 300,000. That's for a 100-year event.
They're saying the max should be 300,000. Hopefully it'll come in a little less than that.
Right. I'm just curious, because I was at one of the meetings down there where they talked about this before it really got rolling. And if you go on the north end of Bryant, there's a lot of potential opportunity for great storm drainage there. But if you go on the south end, across the highway, that's such low ground, there's nowhere for it to drain, even if you did run it off somewhere. And if they're only going to do half the town, one side of the highway and not the other side, it seems to me it'd be more efficient to do the main core of the town than it is what I call the offshoot of the town. But I'm just curious on the engineering bids, because 300,000 sounds like a small number, but to do a storm sewer project, right? And I've looked into this for other towns, and that's a really low ball bid for compared to some, depending on what they're gonna do. And plus, I'm just curious on you said Maurer Stutz did the bidding. I'm just curious, was there other engineers that bidded that we know of?
No, they're the ones doing the engineering on it, and then it'll be bid out to contractors.
That's all I had.
Okay, anybody else? Call roll.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Metis,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, moving on.
All right, next thing we have some of our Cures 1.0 money left that needs to be spent here at the end of the month. We have a plan for that. Stacy, would you like to highlight that?
Arpa
Sorry.
spreadsheet. I'm taking updates.
Yeah.
Okay, so this money has to be spent by the end of this month. There is $21,951.27 to be exact. What Chris Kelly, Patrick, and I have got together, and what we are proposing to you for the final expenditures of that is a new what's called Mondo Pad workstation over in the board office. There are a lot of committee meetings that happen, and we have the connectivity here now, but we would like to see that happen over in the board office as well. So kind of I don't even know, Chris, how we would explain an interactive touchpad type of thing, correct?
Just a large screen, and Elaine Stone from the Fire Bureau has one. It's a large screen, high quality video cameras and other stuff. And the other ability this opens up is county employees like dispatchers, stuff like that, need to take remote training, can go over there and do this in quiet and very high quality system that allows remote meetings and training.
So that is one of the purchases. It will be not to exceed $6,000 or so for the cost of that ticket item. Another thing is the circuit clerk Shar needs a new server, and that is $7,000. And both of those expenses are eligible. We're not spending money on something that we're not going to get reimbursed for. Another thing, I think Pat and Chris are sick of sitting in my office and dealing with my desktop. My computer is acting up, and they feel like my computer needs to be replaced because of all the work with Cures and all the work with Arpa and everything else. They would like me to have a computer that functions. I'm not going to lie. I think that's kind of a dream come true. So we have approximately $1,500 for that. And then the final amount, what we are recommending is public safety employee salaries. That is an eligible expense as well. We have looked into that for the deputies. So that would just be a reimbursement, and that's money going back into county general. All expenses are eligible. To remind you with Cures, you have to spend it in order to be reimbursed. And it has to be spent by the end of this month or we forfeit it. Any questions on our 4 recommendations to spend $21,951.27?
Okay. John, you want to make that a motion?
Yes, I will. I will.
Second by Madison. Now, any discussion? Carl?
She said to include the deputies. I was just thinking here. So with what we're spending, the total's 21,000, and we're buying the computer set up for her, the screens and stuff. What's that fee for the deputies or the public safety?
It comes to $14,500, so you're looking at about
$6,000.
$7,500.
Do we have any more?
Well, we've got the rescue, or the ARPA fund, we can,
I mean,
And are we gonna limit that just to the deputies or the jail staff? And
well,
public safety covers a lot, so.
right, so for cures, we know an eligible expense is the deputies. That's already been done before. I'll have to pull up all my cures paperwork, but we did that reimbursement sometime last year. So that's why we just defaulted to an eligible expense that we know. We can't do anything with the jailer's salaries because the sheriff attested and we used ARPA funds at 135,000 and change for the end of this fiscal year. We can't double dip. So we were just trying to find a way. We have some expenditures that we feel is something that is a good use of the funds, but we also wanted to look at something that we could get back. So we have spent money on those salaries. I recognize it's not that much, but it's not an expenditure, it's reimbursing something that we've already expended. So some money coming back into the coffers. Does that help, Carl?
Yep, thank you.
anybody else? Call roll.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Medis,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay,
All right, next thing, discussion of the Cures 2.0 money. Dr. Helly, would you like to do that?
Just real briefly, we're finishing that project up, getting some costs reimbursed for our friends at EMA, some costs we had in the county. We're not spending any more money, just letting you know we're buttoning that project up at the end of this month, and that is exciting and fun.
Okay. Last thing we have is resolution for creation of a line item for jail improvements, the DCO grant of $150,000. I'll move, we go ahead with that.
second by Beck.
This is just creating the line item, for Stacy for Jeff to spend the money that he got from the grant.
Any questions? Call roll.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Medis,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
and Bowler.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. That's all.
Okay. Community development, Steve.
Nothing this month.
Oh, we like it. Okay, executive session for real estate matters, 5 ILCS 120/2C5. Motion to go into executive session by Beck, second by Thompson. Roll call.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
Medis,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilner,
John, we won't have any action on this after we come out.
Arnett,
We got a couple
Yes.
other items, just the little ones. but-
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now, if I close out this WebEx, can I log back into it when I come back?
Should be, that's what I'm trying to figure out over here.
Yeah, you said it should. Just stuck it in here a minute ago.
Do we have a different WebEx calling for the